and welcome to the webinar of software-defined automation. Today I will go and show you the new features we implemented for HMI 2026, which was last year. My name is Ton and I'm happy to guide you through the new features from SDA platform. I split the new features into three different sections. First of all, I will guide you through the platform, then to security-related features, and in the end, I will show you the AI features, which were recently implemented. Let's start with the platform features. On a frequent basis, we are getting feedback from our customers that they are really having challenges when it comes to an overview of their OT assets, because usually they are distributed all around the globe. And it is really hard to get a nice dashboard-like overview of all their OT assets all over the world. Wouldn't it be great to have a dashboard-like overview where you can exactly achieve that? This is where our SDA map dashboard comes into the play. It gives our customers the possibility of setting up a dashboard on a TV or any other screen, which then gives you a nice overview of all your OT assets. It is implemented to refresh, in that case, every minute, which allows you really to put it on a TV screen and automatically refresh every minute. We see here the world map with my different sites, like here in Southern California, the gateway. And by clicking into one of those gateways, I see all the attached devices. I see that here is one device which is out of sync and two are unknown because obviously there were no backup runs so far. What does out of sync mean? Out of sync means when I create a device in SDA and configure a backup, for example, on a daily basis, and mark a target project version for the given device, that I can then, on a daily basis, check if the project version I marked as a target version is actually really running on the device. In that case, we see this is not the case for this device here. I can immediately from this screen check the differences, and here I see the main OB1 block is different to my expected target version. To get more details, we can simply click on the button over there. It gives us a nice histogram view with the changes over time. A customer requested that because they said they want to see the changes over time, which is in that case over the last week, because with that they can really get a good indicator whether machine is making some problems or machine is obviously running as expected. Like those two machines, they did not have any recent changes. And this machine has 6 changes over the last week, which might be a good indicator that this machine is having some issues. Here, a quick overview of the map dashboard. So what we saw here is an interactive world region map with device markers. We can show the different status of the gateways in the related colors. So green, red, and different, and orange for different. And I can easily click through my devices on the different sites, which makes it really easy for an overview to get the insights on every different site and check out if everything is working as expected there. And of course, everything is automatically refreshed after a given period of time, which can be adjusted in the front end, which makes it also easy to set up a dashboard on a TV. Usually, we are also getting some feedback, especially from IT departments, that what happens if I'm using a software as a service application, like in our case, software-defined automation, and the factory has internet outage. Commonly, they are telling us, or customers are telling us, that factories are built on areas where the land is usually cheap, but that also means that internet connectivity is not always granted. For that case, we developed the software-defined sync client. You can easily define with the username and password the permissions of the user and also the scope of the projects which should be synced, and define also the local storage where the project should be synced. And you define the sync interval. That means in that case, every 30 minutes, we are checking in our platform if there were new project versions created. And if so, sync them down to the local storage. That gives your users the possibility, even in case of an internet outage, to access all the projects usually managed in software-defined automation and work with the local project versions. So the users are no longer blocked by internet outages and can still continue fixing machines and continuing their work. Here's an overview how that looks like. So in that case, we have 3 projects synced, and each project version has then, each project has their different versions with the path to the versions. And at the later stage, we are also extending the functionality with a checkout, check-in functionality to even make it more convenient to work locally on a device and check out and check in to software-defined automation. Quick summary. So this service runs as a lightweight service, platform agnostic. So right now we are supporting Windows and Linux, but also on request, we can easily support macOS as well. You can manage the configuration, meaning the sync interval, then the location for the storage, and also grant only permissions to the specific projects you want to sync to a local machine with the user role access control fully integrated in SDA. Right now, we are supporting the local file system, but at a later stage, we will also extend support for network share and Microsoft SharePoint. Then let's come to the new integrations from SDA. So we are getting a lot of feedback from our customers that they need some new IDE versions, new device types, or even new vendors. And that's what we built depending on our customer requests. So what's new? We implemented the restore functionality for FTP, as the backup was already there previously. Since HMI, we are happy to announce also restore functionality for FTP. And of course, also for SMB. So the network protocol is also supported now to be restored from our platform. We're also supporting new IDEs to always keep our customers up to date in terms of security, but also in terms of features, which means we integrated the SCW Movie Suite 2.17, which is currently the latest version, and also Siemens TIA Portal version 21, which is fully integrated with the entire life cycle, meaning versioning, backup, deployment, IDE as a service, so like the full portfolio. But also we added some new device types, namely Siemens Numeric. With that, you can, with SDA, you can now back up your CNC machines with the different versions of Numeric, but also Siemens industrial switches, like the Scalene switch. And full support for Windows devices, which means you can either do a backup of specific folders on the Windows device or completely back up the entire partition as a disk image. And last, we are also supporting Siemens HMI backups, meaning we are doing a snapshot of Siemens HMIs, which then can be used for restoring Siemens HMIs in case there is a hardware outage. Let's come to the security-related features. In our platform, we can here navigate to the security hub, and we already get the information here that something might be wrong with the blinking dot over there. Here you can now see the vulnerabilities section, which gives you a nice overview here that 4 devices are obviously affected. So let's get into it. We see here the list of known vulnerabilities which are actively affecting my devices. On every backup run for Siemens TIA devices, we are also getting out the device information. namely the serial number, article number, but also the firmware version. The firmware version is then used to align against our internal created OT CVE database, where we are getting the vulnerabilities from the OT vendors and checking against the known running firmware versions. We see here there are some with the severity high, some of them are medium, but also some critical ones. If I click now, for example, on the first CVE here, I can get more insights. I see exactly which device is affected. With the link, I can navigate to the device, of course. I see that the device is running version 2.9.4, and I can fix this vulnerability by updating the firmware version to 2.9.7. Here's a quick summary, and by clicking on the link, we are getting already to the source where we are getting those informations from. And in that case, it is the official Siemens website with the CVE as HTML. You can just get some insight of the CVE here. And let me check. Yeah, and just check the other CVEs. So quick summary of the CVE database. We are maintaining all the OT CVEs regarding the different firmwares. We are automatically matching and scanning the devices in SDA to the known vulnerabilities. And we are displaying then these severities in the table. This can be then filtered by vendor, by device type, or on severity level. The next security-related features, which is new in the platform, is the default password scanning. We can already see here in our vaults, where our vault is basically just a collection of secrets, that one password is basically a default password, and I should look into that. Let's quickly check out the passwords. I see here, there's the blinking dot. And if I click on the secrets, I can exactly see there is one password affected, which is a default password. And when I unseal it, I see this is the default password, which is obviously the backoff default password, in that case 1. And this is marked as weak. We are scanning all the passwords whenever they are updated or created. And we are aligning that against an internal created default password list, which contains all the default passwords for the OT vendors. Like for backup, in that case, the default password is known as 1 usually. And then we can simply mark known default passwords in our platform. Quick overview. So we are checking all the passwords in the platform, which are used for projects or devices, against known default credential database. This works, of course, across different OT vendors like Siemens, Rockwell, SEW, but also Beckhoff and others. And we see exactly which is the affected password, which makes it easy for the CISO to identify which devices might still have some default passwords, and then fix obviously the vulnerability in that case. Let's come to the AI features. From now on, we are supporting code generation in ID as a service. Let's quickly refresh here. And we see here is a TIA portal instance in our browser-based engineering. We have a very simple structured text SCL code here. And by clicking on the button over there, factory operator, it opens a viewer here. Here is a quick introduction what can I do with this? And let's just tell the operator here that it should include the current IDE code, which is then the currently open window here. And I just want to switch the outputs. So this should become false and this should become true. Let's quickly wait for the AI to generate the code. It, of course, analyzes the code first, what can be done. I'm getting the feedback here in the chat window and see what will be changed. Here, see the changes in the interface and then the changes in the code. And as we can see here, O1 is here set to false and here to true. Let's apply to the IDE. All right, and we see the changes were applied, the code was generated, and I can save immediately the new project version back and have my code generation done. This is currently supported for Siemens TIA portal, but also for Codesys IDE. And we are currently extending for new IDEs like Rockwell, like back of TwinCat, and others coming soon. So a quick catch up. It supports Siemens TIA portal and Codesys, as already mentioned. We are currently supporting only textual-based code generations like SCL or structured text. It is context-aware. That means it gets the context from the project to really understand the logic and on that behalf generate the code where I'm prompting in. And you can easily iterate, as we have seen. The factory operator comes back with a suggestion, and then you can iterate through and say, hey, I want to do this and this change. And when it really fits your needs, you can apply to the IDE, and it automatically goes back to Siemens TIA portal in our case. The next helpful feature, which was also requested by a lot of customers, is the code diff explanation. We see here an example project with 3 different project versions. And by selecting 2 of them, a new button appears. So this button is already known. I can simply jump into the graphical comparison, but I can also let it explain with the help of AI. In that case, this documentation was already cached because this takes a while. And to have a look at the time, we already prepared this example. But this is fully AI generated and works for all different project versions. We see here a quick documentation of the changes in a human readable form. And this is really helpful for users which are not super familiar with ladder logic, with function block diagram, or in general with OT programming. And they just want to see what was changed recently in my project and really identify potential problems in the code. So the diff explanation can be used for 2 different project versions of the same projects. It summarizes on a run, block, tag, and parameter level. It also supports audit trail and the change documentation workflows, and is available for Siemens, Rockwell, SEW, Codesys, Beckhoff, Schneider, Mitsubishi, and others coming soon. Then let's jump to the project analyzer. This is how a project analyzer looks like in SDA now. It is not yet fully integrated into the platform, but still this HTML site is fully generated with the help of AI with our known data, which is anyway used for the conversion, and can be easily generated very soon directly from the platform. By clicking on a button on a specific project version, you can let AI explain or generate an analysis of a given project. And this is how it looks like. It gives you an overview with a quick description what the project does, with a couple of findings, some critical, high, medium, and some informations. Then, of course, the IDE version, which is already known. and some additional overview information of the project. And here already can see some top findings, which might be really a good indicator of bugs in your code. By jumping to the findings tab, you have a nice overview where you can easily filter them, in that case by critical ones. So we see, for example, the empty password bypasses authentication entirely, which might be a serious problem in my code. And you see exactly which block is affected. In that case, it is the check message.scl. By going to the architecture, you see the different blocks with the programming language. In that case, the main OB is ladder logic. Then we have some control and measurement blocks. And you have the nice overview of the different blocks, what they are used for. And yeah, just getting a nice overview of them. By jumping to the code snippets, you see some potential code smells. With that, a customer already found a weird bug. They were looking for 2 weeks already and could not find it. So what we did together with the customer, we analyzed the project, and with the help of AI, they could immediately identify their problem, which was obviously a quite easy copy-paste error in a variable assignment. By fixing that, they could, of course, reduce their downtime, and yeah, it saved them a lot of time and money. So this is how it looks like to get some code snippets out of the project analysis. And in the last tab, we see the network topology. So you see the Profinet configuration with some IP addresses, with the subnet, and how all the components of the machine are interacting with each other. So the project analyzer analyzes right now only Siemens TIA projects, but we are extending also here for other vendors following next Code Assist Backoff and also Rockwell, which really helps our customers to understand their projects from ground up and makes it easy to identify potential issues or real bugs in my production line. Thank you for joining. If you have any questions, we have enough time now for QA round. And please follow us on LinkedIn by scanning this QR code.